Good morning, 4th grade. Yesterday we began our lesson by discussing the different parts in a food web and the different roles different organisms play. We looked at producers, who are organisms that make their own food, like plants. And then there is also consumers. Consumers are organisms that cannot make their own food, but they eat other organisms for energy. There are herbivores, who only eat plants, carnivore, who only eat other animals, and omnivores, who eat plants and animals. So these were some different roles that we saw in an ecosystem. Let's go over the false web and see how a food web can look with different animals. Alright, so here on the false website, we have access to these different organisms in nature, in the woods. I picked some different organisms and built a food chain. We're going to take a look and start at the bottom. We're going to read about it, and then I'm going to ask you to tell me, is it a producer or is it a consumer? Is it an herbivore? Is it a carnivore? Or is it an omnivore? Let's start looking at our first one, which is the grama grass. Grama grass can survive long periods of drought if not too heavily grazed, meaning not being touched. It begins growing in early spring and continues to be green late in fall. The food that it eats, it is able to make its own food by photosynthesis. Its predators, or things that eat it, are mammals like deers, elk, antelope, birds, rabbits, hares, chipmunks, reptiles, insects. So on Edpezzle now, tell me, is this a consumer or a producer? Thank you for sharing your thinking. If you said producer, that is correct. Grass, like many other plants, are producers. Let's go back to our food web and let's follow this arrow. These arrows are what show us where the energy is being transferred. I noticed two different animals can get their energy from this grass. Let's look at this first one, which is a chipmunk. Chipmunks are found in the deserts, forests, pastures, and rocky cliffs. They store food in their nests for the winter. Their foods include seeds, berries, nuts, fruit, and tender plants. Its predators, or things that eat chipmunks, are wolves, lynx, badgers, coyotes, hawks, and golden eagles. Now, we know that this chipmunk, because it eats other plants for its energy, is a consumer. But is it a carnivore, a herbivore, or an omnivore? Take a look at its food that it eats. It eats seeds, berries, nuts, fruits, and plants. Share your thinking. If you said herbivore, that is correct. A chipmunk is an example of an herbivore. Let's keep looking at our other organism that can also eat grass. Alright, so our next type of organism that also eat grama grass are snowshoe hares. These hares usually stay in with a territory of about 101,000 square meters and are very active in the winter. Their food are green vegetation, especially clover, grasses, moss, sedges, and forbs. In the winter, they will eat twigs and barks. However, their predators are lynx, owls, golden eagles, bobcats, foxes, black bears, and coyotes. Now share your thinking with me. We see what this hare eats and also who eats it. Tell me, is this hare a consumer or a producer? Is it able to make its own food, or does it have to eat other organisms to get its food? If you said consumer, that is correct. This hare is a consumer. It is an herbivore because it only eats plants like clovers and different grasses, but it is still a consumer. Let's continue working on our food chain. And let's see where in the food chain our chipmunk and snowshoe hare are at. I noticed that my arrows are both pointing up to this coyote. That means that the coyote's food can get its energy either from a chipmunk or a snowshoe hare. Let's read what we have to share about a coyote. Coyotes live in small family groups in many ecosystems. They are nocturnal hunters, meaning they only hunt at nighttime, and they will sing at dusk to communicate with other members of the pack. Something like this. So that is usually how a coyote communicates. Let's look at the food that a coyote eats. It says coyotes are omnivores. They eat almost anything from fresh meat to cacti to roadkill. So meaning they hunt small animals like rabbits, rodents, young deer, snakes, birds, grasshoppers, and crickets. So we see in this card, it tells us that coyotes are omnivores. So they can either eat the chipmunk, the hare, they can probably also eat the grass. Its predator, the people that eat a coyote, are usually wolves, bears, or humans. Let's see who is next in our food chain. So far we have noticed energy go from the grass to the chipmunk. Now let's see who eats the coyote or who the coyote can transfer its energy to. We have black bears. Black bears are mostly nocturnal, meaning they also travel at nighttime. They can run 50 kilometers per hour, swim, and climb trees. They live in forests and woodlands. Black bears are also omnivores. They will eat fruits, nuts, berries, insects, fish, eggs, carrion, honey, and small mammals. A black bear's predator is either humans, brown bears, or wolves. So we saw how in this example of an ecosystem, at the very bottom we have our producers, which was the grass. This producer was able to transfer its energy to chipmunks, snowshoe hares, and even to the coyote. The coyote has many options of what to eat, like chipmunks, the hare, or even grass. And then the coyote transfers its energy to the black bear. Black bears can eat coyotes as well as grass. But we are missing one other part to our food chain, which is a very important part. Let's go into our FOSS ebook to learn about what other roles different organisms can play. Another role in a food web are decomposers. There is a whole hidden world in every ecosystem that we don't hear much about. Millions of insects and invisible microorganisms use the last bits of dead plants and animals for food. They can be thought of as the cleanup crew. These organisms are called decomposers. Decompose means to break into parts. Insects like ants, termites break down dead plants and animals into tiny pieces. Then the decomposers like bacteria and fungi take over. Bacteria and fungi break down dead plant and animals matter into simple chemicals or nutrients. Remember how at the beginning of science, beginning of the year, we talked about soil and the different parts of soil, and we talked how humus was one of the parts in the soil. Well, that humus is made up of dead animal and dead dead animals and dead plants, and that humans is thanks to bacterium that breaks down these dead animals into small pieces of nutrients. These simple chemicals are returned to the environment, like when it goes back into the soil. When decomposers are done with a dead organism, there is no energy to transfer and there is no longer any food value. The simple chemicals are the raw material used by producers to make more food. Decomposers are the ecosystem recyclers of matter. So we know humus is very important to our soil because it gives it more nutrients, making it much easier for different grass, plants, flowers, trees to be able to grow and produce more food and start the food web all over. I want you to go into your journal. If you have space on page 36, you can add this vocabulary word to page 36. I did not have space, so I added it to page 37. But you're going to write the definition for decomposers, which are an organism that breaks down plant and animal material into simple chemicals or other nutrients. I will give you guys about 2 minutes to add this into your journal. Alright, now that we have added that into our journal, let's keep reading about decomposers and how they are helpful in food webs and food chains. Bacteria are the smallest organisms in the world. They are found in all environments. Bacteria play a very important role in every ecosystem. Bacteria decompose dead matter and waste. After bacteria finish their work, there is no energy to transfer from the matter, and the raw materials are returned to the environment. However, some bacteria can cause disease, but most bacteria have important roles in the ecosystem. Without these bacteria decomposers, would just see piles and piles of dead animals that or dead plants that don't go back into the soil, and it wouldn't be helpful for our environment. Fungi are important decomposers too. They come in different shapes, sizes, and types. We know them as mold, mildew, and mushrooms. Like bacteria, fungi can live everywhere. They can live in both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems. They are in soil, in your home, on plants, animals, and even on you. A spoonful of soil might contain 120,000 fungi. Some are harmful to living plants and animals, but most fungi are important in recycling dead matter for raw materials in the environment. We are able to see how a food chain, each different organism has an important part and how its part is very essential to get our ecosystems growing and provide food for everyone. Please make sure that you added Decomposers to your journal. If you have any questions, visit me during office hours. I am available from 2 to 3:30, or you can visit me during our live stream if you want to watch our lesson together. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good day.